Good day, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps YouTube Live. Glad to be talking to you. My name is Eric Olsen, attorney now for 46 years. Hard to believe. Founder of Helps. Helps is a national law firm that represents seniors and disabled persons who owe debt they can't afford to pay. What is it exactly? What do? We represent seniors and disabled persons under a federal law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that provides if a person's represented by an attorney, debt collectors can no longer call or send demand letters to them anymore. People find out about us, they enroll in Helps, they give us the creditors to whom they owe money, we send a cease and desist letter out, and they live a life of peace without having the creditors calling or harassing them. Okay? That's what we do. And we also educate seniors how they can maintain their financial independence. So part of that process is that we have this YouTube Live Monday through Thursday. We may change it to Monday through Friday. And we'd like to welcome you. If it's your first time here, you can listen. We have, you can put a question in the chat feature. I'll try to answer it. And then I have things that I've written down from clients that have made inquiries in the last couple of days that I talk about. And I also want to remind you that we have lots of other videos on our YouTube page, scores of them. And we've got, scores, probably hundreds of YouTube live videos on our YouTube page that you can look at too about different questions. Please tell me you can hear me okay. I think you can. Good. You already told me. Thank you, Mary. So good morning. Good to have you here. So I'm going to start out. Just a few minutes ago, I took a call from an existing client who got a call from a debt collector, supposedly, and I really think it was a scammer. Okay, well, I'll tell you why. Because this person, our client, lived in Indiana, and second here, I need to get my phone. There we go. On a do not disturb. She lived in Indiana, and she got a call from some debt collector who said she owed some money from 7 years ago, and she needed to make arrangements. I said, who was it? And she said, well, she never even got around to tell me who she was. And she just wanted to make, I needed to make $100 payments, and I'm scared. And I said, you don't need to be scared. It's a scammer. Your only income is Social Security. She was getting $1,400 in Social Security and $300 in a pension. I told her, even if someone sued you and got a judgment and they tried to garnish your bank account, twice the amount of your Social Security is automatically protected from garnishment, no matter what other funds are in there where they came from. $1,400 times 2 is $2,800. No, do you ever have more than that in there? No, Eric, I never have more. Then you don't need to worry about this. And I said, you don't need to talk to this person. If they call you again, you don't need to. You don't need to pick up the phone, but if they call you, you tell them you're represented by us, but get their name and address, so we send them a cease and desist letter. But it could very likely be a scammer, and they're just trying to take advantage of people. Some of these scammers will call seniors and try to scare them into making arrangements for make payments. They got a list of literally thousands of people to call. They call one right after another, and hopefully they can hit one or two that they can get to pay. It might be a debt that's old, that's been written off, or maybe they found about the debt from someone else and they're claiming it's a debt that's owed to them when it really isn't. But no, you don't need to pay it, and you don't need to worry. So if you ever have a question about a scam, a potential scam or someone taking advantage of you, whether you're a member of Helps or not, you call us on the phone and we'll talk to you. Because of what we do, representing seniors, all 50 states, thousands and thousands of seniors, and doing this for years, our attorneys have decades of experience. We know a scam, and it's pretty easy to identify one, especially for us. It might not be for you, but if anyone were ever to ask you to, send them a Target card, a debit card where you've got preloaded some money on it, it's a scam, guaranteed. We also talk to people about romance scams. If you're involved in a relationship on the internet with someone and they ask you to send money, no, it's almost invariably a scam. Um, so, we want to warn seniors about scams. That's one of the things we do. Okay. Um, Judy asks, question: if the IRS sends a 1099-C and you don't file an income tax this year, will they keep sending it? The IRS doesn't send the 1099-C. The 1099-C comes from the creditor to whom you owe money. It's a form they file and send into the IRS. IRS doesn't send it to you. It's an IRS form, but it's sent to you by the debt collector, actually by the creditor. Debt collectors normally don't send in 1099-Cs. Normally it's the original creditor, and you're not going to get it every year. No. And if you're not required to file taxes and your income is minimal, you probably don't need to worry about that 1099-C for a lot of different reasons. We have videos that talk about that. A couple years ago on February 9th, I did a video with my former partner Rex Danes where we talk about it. You can look at it on YouTube Live. But no, 1099-C, don't need to worry about it. So, next question is, my daughter is only on Social Security. Can she join HELPS to make sure if she needs help one day from being able to pay her credit cards? Can I help her sign up? It's hard for her to understand. Well, we have lots of kids that help their parents enroll in HELPS, and we have no problem having a parent call HELPS and helping enroll a child in HELPS. But if your daughter is current on her credit card payments and she intends to pay them, she probably doesn't need our help. Where she might need our help is if she's going to stop paying these credit cards and you're worried about them harassing her or taking advantage of her. Yeah, then you can enroll your daughter in HELPS. Okay? You bet. Can't do anything about Medicare Advantage plans calling 7 to 8 times a day. Everyone's trying to make a buck. It's a fact. Okay. Even these debt collectors are. That's why they do what they do. So, I don't know where this person is from, but I'm going to read you this. It says she has been struggling with filing taxes. She does not want to because she is sure she owes. Well, we're going to find out later that she doesn't owe, but let me go on. She also has credit card debt. So this is a person that called in to us. She had learned about HELPS and wanted to know if we could help her. Okay, she owns a business called whatever it is, and she assists with elderly at the end of life care. She only has one client right now, and the business expenses are paid, makes about $100 a month. Okay, went over what we do. And that they called last fall, and then she called in February. Okay, so here's the deal. If your income is Social Security and you have a little side business and your income is less than about $14,000 from that business, you're not even required to file taxes. You don't need to worry about that. And if this person owed some old taxes, if they owed something to the IRS, IRS may not do anything. The taxes might be small enough that the IRS isn't going to do anything. The worst the IRS could do is they would send you an intent to offset 15% of your Social Security. Okay? But they would send a notice before they do that, saying they'd do that after 60 days, which would give you enough time to get on what's called currently not collectible status, CNC status. And often you can do that by just calling the IRS on the phone. We have videos that talk about how to do that. You look at your IRS notice, upper right-hand corner, there's a phone number you call there, and you explain what your income is. If your income is about $2,500 or less and you're single, or $3,500 or less and you're a couple, you should be able to qualify for currently not collectible status. If your income is significantly lower than that, it's much easier to qualify. Often you can qualify over the phone. And if you owed state taxes, a state tax collector can't touch your Social Security or your pension. It's protected. It's even protected in your bank account. Twice the amount of your federal benefit deposit in your bank account is protected from garnishment, even from a state tax collector. So this person that called us that was struggling, they were worrying about something they probably didn't need to worry about. Okay, so that's one reason helps us here. We tell our clients that when you enroll in helps, you're a client ongoing, literally forever. So if you ever have a question or concern, you can always pick up the phone and you call us, no matter how often. That's what helps was founded for, so that seniors would always be able to call. It's not just a one-time thing. You're a client literally forever. But we don't want you to worry. So this person contacts us, and I'm not sure where they're from either. But anyway, I'm a senior who lost her job and have been able to find gainful reemployment. I have debt obligations that are over $100,000, and I cannot satisfy because I only have Social Security income. Now, I've been thinking about filing bankruptcy until I read online info from our site, from Help site, that seniors' income is protected. If so, I don't need to file bankruptcy. What, what repercussions can I face? So we're going to talk about that. Yeah, the vast majority of seniors that are on Social Security or pension, disability, whatever, most of them don't need to file bankruptcy. I did 30, 40,000 bankruptcies at least before I started helps. No, but I'll go on and explain. Should I file for bankruptcy for protection and avert emotional distress? Debt charge off is 7 years, bankruptcy is 10 years. Okay, well, I'll explain. I have a small loan with a credit union and use my car as collateral. Can my car be seized? And then can my credit union, where I have an account, cancel me out? I love my credit union and the services they provide. I hate finding myself in this situation. I've always been financially responsible until COVID hit and I've lost my job. I took on whatever jobs I could find that did not pay the salary to survive, but these part-time jobs do not pay well enough to alleviate the situation I find myself in. I look forward to any information you can give me on the above questions. Okay, what am I going to tell this person? First, okay, if your only income is Social Security, no one can take it. Even if you get sued, twice the amount of your Social Security deposit in your bank account is protected from garnishment. You don't need to file bankruptcy. You probably can't afford to file bankruptcy. Bankruptcy's become pretty expensive. I don't think you can file bankruptcy too many places in the country for less than a couple $1,000s. But emotional distress, well, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which is the law which helps operates under, provides that when we send a cease and desist letter out to a debt collector, they can no longer call or send you a demand letter anymore. Now, you could theoretically be sued, but when a helps clients get sued, we send a letter to the attorney who sued you. We let them know that, hey, this person's income is Social Security, it's protected. They can't afford to pay it. They may have a pension as well. It's protected also. They can't afford to pay it. You understand that you're going to get a judgment. Don't touch their bank account. They can't anyway for the reasons I explained. So no, you don't need to worry. So when a person says to avert emotion, you don't need to have emotional distress. That's what helps us here for, so that you don't need to worry about the debt. Okay. I have a small loan with a credit union and use my car as collateral. Can the car be? No, as long as you make the payment on the car, credit union is going to be just happy to take your money. They're not going to cut you off. The only time we have a problem with the credit union is, let's say you have a small car, you have a car loan, and then you have a credit card debt where you owe $10,000 or $20,000. Well, in that instance, a credit union has what's called a cross-collateralization agreement. When you made the loan or when you entered into the bank account with the credit union, unbeknownst to you, part of the agreement that you signed said that if you have another debt with the credit union and you don't pay one of the debts, then any collateral for another debt, another loan you have with the credit union is also secured by that other debt you have with the credit union. So if you owed $5,000 on a car and you owed $15,000 on a credit card, you really owe $20,000, 15 plus 5, because they're not going to give you the title to the car when you pay the 5,000 if you're in default on the credit card debt. Now, if you were current on the credit card debt, yeah, they'll give you the title. But if you're default, you stop paying it, when you pay the car off, they're not going to give you the title. Would they repossess the car if you don't pay the other debt? Probably not. We don't see that happening. There was an advisory letter sent to credit unions by their national attorney that telling them about potential problems if they were to do that. But we talk to people about credit unions. But if you have a credit union loan and that's the only one you have and it's a car and you want to keep the car, sure, do that. Keep the credit union. You don't need to worry. So this person's going to be fine. Okay, person Lindy writes in, I'm 63 on Social Security disability, and now I'm receiving my deceased husband's pension. His estate is in probate that I'm to receive. Can a debt collector from my credit card debt attach a lien to the probate? Well, I guess that's theoretically possible. I've never ever seen that happen. They'd have to know about it. They don't know about that. They'd have to have a judgment if they even sued you. Okay, if they haven't sued you. No, I don't think that's an issue. I'm really curious why there's even a probate. Normally there's not probate involved in these kinds of cases. You know, if you own the home together, then at his death, the home's now in your name, no probate. If your name was on a car and he died, then the car's automatically your name. So I'm not sure why there's a probate. But there could be a reason for one. Linda says, the funny part is when I start challenging them after they threaten an arrest warrant, I get a tone response. They hang up on you, right? I'm guessing it's the same sleazy tactics with people pretending to be the IRS. Yeah, it is. Yeah, if a debt collector ever threatened you with arrest, rest assured that's a scam collector. They're not legitimate. That's against the law. They know it. Okay? Um, can you file federal claim against district court for taking your disability income from garnishment? Just wondering because of veteran. You know, you'd have to. We don't answer hypotheticals like that. I mean, you could always come up with some crazy notion. You know, your Social Security is going to be protected, and your disability is going to be protected from garnishment. You don't need to worry about that. Okay? Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So a lot of times clients will call in when a spouse passes away. And I got a call yesterday or the day before, and I decided I was going to we have a form email that we send to clients where this happens. And so I thought, I'm going to read this email. So let's say you're married and you're worried, well, if my husband passes away before me and he's got all this debt, I'm not on it, are they going to come collect from me? Am I going to have a problem? Or vice versa. If my wife dies before me and she's got this debt, am I going to have a problem? Okay. So let me read you this letter and it answers that question. When a helps client or the spouse of a helps client passes away, what can the surviving spouse do about notices regarding debt owed by the deceased spouse or helps client? So sometimes we'll have a client enroll in helps and the client passes away, and then the spouse who wasn't our client, they call in and they want to know what to do about their husband's or wife's debts. And so, we'll talk to either one, whether the helps client whose spouse passes away or the non-helps clients whose helps clients passed away. So I'll read this. Normally, there is no estate or probate. This means that the deceased person's property went automatically to the surviving spouse or was used for the cost of burial or otherwise. Life insurance paid to a survivor is not part of the estate. There's no probate. A life insurance is a contract between the person who got the policy and the life insurance company to pay that money to a certain person. And normally that is be a spouse or kids or something like that. It doesn't pay to their estate. Okay, it's paid to a specific person, normally the spouse. Okay. Uh, Life insurance paid to the survivor is not part of the estate. This money goes directly to the person named as the beneficiary of the policy. It is that person's money alone and not owed to any creditor of the deceased person. If there is no estate, as is normally the case, then simply take a photocopy of the death certificate. So if you get a bill from a debt collector for a spouse that passed away, take a photocopy of the death certificate. When your spouse passes away, you'll get a half dozen copies from the funeral home, okay, of the death certificate. Staple it to the bill or collection notice, and write somewhere, there is no estate or probate for, put the person's name, and send it back to the credit card company or collector. This is what is said in our letter that we send to people. That should resolve things. You might possibly have to do it a couple of times, but they will soon get the message, as this happens all the time. And then it says, please call helps at 855-435-7787. So we send that out to our clients when they contact us when a spouse passes away and they're worried about getting bills for the spouse on the debt that the spouse that passed away owed. Okay? Okay. Then he says, well, there wasn't a will. Missouri makes it go through probate. Okay, well, I'll talk a little bit more about that. If you own property with a spouse, you know, normally you may not even need to worry about a probate. If you own a home together as survivorship rights, when one spouse passes away, it goes to the other spouse. But let's say your spouse had some other assets. Now, what about personal property? What about furniture and stuff like that? Well, you own it together when you don't need to go through probate for anything like that. What about a car? If it's only in the spouse who passed away's name. Well, many states have an abbreviated process for getting a car title into the surviving spouse. Then a lot of states have what's called a small estate proceeding, which is not regular probate. It's designed for kind of a do-it-yourself thing. If you've got the value of the assets are under a certain amount, then you can file what's called a small estate. The cost is much less, much quicker, and you don't have to hire an attorney. You can do it yourself. Okay, so you can always call Helps and we can go over this with you. Remember, Helps does not represent people in court. That's not what we do. Technically, we don't give legal advice. We give legal information. So much of the information that seniors need to protect them from debt collectors, it's information. It's not advice, it's information. When I tell seniors that twice the amount of your Social Security is protected in your bank account, and if someone were to sue you and get a garnishment, they couldn't touch it, is that legal advice? Absolutely not. It's legal information. It's the law. It's pretty simple. So that's what we do. Okay? Okay. So this person contacted us from California. Their only income is Social Security. And apparently a friend was helping. The son was calling. And dad was on the line. Some debt was in the father's name and some was in the wife's name. And they were in a debt consolidation program. In fact, the paralegal will put the note down here. It says, surprise in a debt consolidation program. They have a reverse mortgage, $50,000 in credit card debt. Bills are still rolling in. They need to cancel with a debt consolidation. Debt is on a auto pay. So I talk about debt consolidation, debt management companies all the time. So I'll try to be quick if you're a regular listening to me, but we have a lot of new people that call in, so sometimes I have to repeat the same things. If you ask on the internet, help for debt or seniors help for debt, a lot of times websites will pop up for debt management companies or debt settlement companies. These are companies that help people pay debt, but it's the practice of debt management companies and debt settlement companies, with rare exceptions, to not tell a senior, by the way, senior, your Social Security is protected, so is your pension. You don't need to use this money to pay your old debt, because if they were to sue you and get a judgment, they can't take it from you. You can keep the $300 or $400 that you were going to pay us to pay your creditors, and you can use it for your food and your medicine and your heat. You don't need to pay this debt. And also, senior, there's what's called a Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that provides you, if you send a cease and desist letter to a debt collector, they have to leave you alone, stop calling you. And so these debt management companies and debt settlement companies often will never tell a senior that their income is protected. They don't do it. If they were to do that, a senior wouldn't enroll with them and they wouldn't get paid. I remember reading a few years ago the tax return for money management, and they made a comment that almost a third of their clients were seniors. So I extrapolate from that debt settlement company and debt management companies, all of them, maybe a quarter to a third of their clients are seniors. And so they don't routinely tell seniors that their income is protected and that they don't have to. Instead, they sign them up, enroll them, often putting a senior, especially lower income senior, into utter poverty, making a payment they don't have to pay. Okay? So I want you to know that, okay, that, if you're enrolled with a debt management or debt settlement company, you could stop. We tell people that when we find out about it and they don't need it, say, call them up on the phone, tell them to return whatever money they're still holding for you. Sometimes I'll ask them, why didn't you tell me that my income was protected? I didn't need to pay this debt. I've been cutting back on my heart medicine. Make them feel a little guilty. Okay, sometimes I think the guy that does the enrolling, they're not taught this, but I guarantee the upper ups in these companies know. And if they were to routinely ask a person, what's your age, what's your source of income, your Social Security, you don't need our help, maybe even refer them to helps, there's a couple of them that do that. The vast majority don't, but a couple do. Bless their hearts for doing that. But if they were to tell a senior that, then they wouldn't enroll and they would make less money. So sometimes I say that these companies that do that sign seniors up for debt management and they withhold this information. It's fraud. A definition of fraud is when you have a financial arrangement with someone and you don't give them all the information they need about their financial interests to benefit your financial interests. And that's what these companies do. They benefit their own financial interests by not telling seniors that their income is protected, even the nonprofit ones. And what's really sad is a lot of businesses and companies or nonprofits that help seniors still refer seniors to debt management companies who won't tell seniors the truth. I've talked before about National Council on Aging. They have articles that one of their missions is to help seniors, especially those that are struggling. And the seniors are struggling, the ones that are lower income and poor that can't pay their debt. But yet their articles for National Council on Aging will steer seniors towards debt management companies. Because why? These debt management companies certainly donate money to the National Council on Aging. Okay? Even though the National Council on Aging gets $50 million from the United States. And yet they will not tell a senior in their articles, by the way, senior, if you owe debt, you should also know that your Social Security is protected. So is your pension. You don't need to pay the debt. And there's a law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that protects it. No, leave that information out. I can go on and on about this. I get upset. So Johnny, from if you have a lot of money saved over the years from Social Security in a separate brokerage account from where your Social Security money is direct deposited, how do you prove that Social Security is protected? Well, okay, first off, if it's a brokerage account, I kind of doubt they would even know how to garnish that. But if they did, you could file a challenge to garnishment or claim of exemption, and you'd be able to show the court where the money went into that account came from Social Security. Okay? Now, I suppose you could make an argument, they could make an argument, well, if there's interest on that account or there's gain that wasn't from Social Security, that money isn't technically protected. I've never seen a stock brokerage account garnished in the tens of thousands of bankruptcies I've filed over the last 4 decades before I started HELPS. I haven't seen it. Okay? So this person contacted us from Ohio. Age is 63. You get $1,400 in Social Security and wages of $800. Okay. So before I even start, if Social Security is protected, what about wages? Okay, if there's a federal law that protects $217.50 net per week in wages from garnishment in every state of the union, no matter where you live. $217.50, that's $435 every 2 weeks, and for a month it's like almost $950. Okay, because some months have more than 4 weeks in them. Okay, so if this person taking $800 a month in wages, that's protected. Okay, no one can garnish it. Let me go on. But also you should know that some states don't even allow your wages to be garnished, such as Texas. Yeah. And then other states protect larger amounts, more than $217.50 net per week in wages. Okay, so and more states are passing laws that protect income much more than what the federal amount is. That federal amount was passed many years ago, 30 years ago, and it needs to be updated. But I think what the federal government is doing is they're just leaving that alone and letting the states deal with wage protection. Okay? Still be nice if the federal wage protection for garnishment was raised. Maybe it will. So this person from Ohio, 63, getting $1,400 Social Security and a little job, they received a summons over the weekend and was very worried. They found our information researching, watched one of our videos, and then called right in. Has had a hard time with health issues and maintaining work. So the credit cards were they were using the credit cards for supplementing their bills and needs. And then can no longer afford to pay these payments. So sometimes people call in and they have this credit card debt, and it's almost like they've used the credit cards and they borrowed on them. It's like they've been digging a pit and then throwing the dirt out of the pit, and finally you get to the point where they don't have any more equity on the credit cards to be able to tap, and it's like they're throwing the dirt out, and it just keeps falling back in. They can't pay it anymore. Okay? Person only receives Social Security disability and tries to work when she can, but with constant surgeries, it's not easy to do. And we explained 1099-Cs, why she wouldn't need to worry about owing any taxes if she didn't pay the credit card debt. And she enrolled, and she's going to send us the summons in. And the last comment from my paralegal was, one of the paralegals was, very kind lady. I see that a lot. Okay. Our clients are always kind. They're always good. Okay. And if we get a client that's grumpy, we don't care. I tell our staff, if you get someone that's grumpy, you cut them slack. Whatever you do, we don't kick people out. even if they're obnoxious, because they need help, and that's what we do. But there's not really a problem with that with helps. Once in a while, I tell my staff, you don't have to put up with abuse or someone's going to swear at you. And that, if that happens, then you're going to put them through to one of the attorneys that helps, and we'll talk to them. When sending in helps to your debts, is it better to send in the mail the information or online forms? We tell people when they enroll, you can text it to us on your phone. All we need is the name, address, and account number. We don't need the balance. You can fax it to us. You can email it to us on your phone or otherwise, or you can mail it. It doesn't matter how we get it. You don't have to have a special form. Okay? We have a form for those that like forms, but you don't have to have a form. And remember, we don't need all of them at once. When a person enrolls and helps, we like to get the creditors as soon as possible, because that way we can send them cease and desist letters so they leave you alone. That's what we're here to help you do, is to protect you from these creditors bothering you. So we want to get them in fast. But if you don't have to give them all at once, if you give us some and then you forgot one, or you have others, if you want to prioritize some and then get the rest a week later or a month later, you can do that. And if you get a new notice from a new debt collector down the road, a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, you can send that to helps. And I would expect you might, because a debt collector will, if it's an original creditor, they may sell the debt to a debt collector or assign it to a debt collector 6 months or a year down the road, and you'll get a new collection notice. Get that to helps. We'll send a new cease and desist letter out to this new debt collector. Okay. Okay. So this person contacted us from California, age 69, and their income is $2,200 in Social Security. And actually, this person came to us from a debt management company. There's one debt management company that actually will transfer a call to helps. Bless their hearts. Okay, and that's what happened here. And a lot of these people that are transferred from this debt management company have never heard of helps. They don't know anything about us. So a lot of times what we'll do is there could be a delay in the call because it's a transfer and it's going through their system. And so say, give me your number, and we'll call you right back. And then we'll call them right back, and then it's an easier call. Or sometimes we'll tell them, let's send you some information so you can learn about helps and what we do. But I'll read what the paralegal said. Okay. There was a little bit of a language barrier when they talked, and it appears that her main issue is a creditor used by a rehab facility trying to collect for past services. I confirmed that she had no plans to return to the facility in the future, so our services would be appropriate. She also has some credit card debt she have difficulty paying. She owes federal taxes. We don't know how much. She receives Social Security and has a pension. I read, we quoted her what the fees would be for her. We sent her some emails. This was back in August. Wow. But then she called us yesterday and talked to one of their attorneys that helps. And we called back. We added some information, answered some questions, explained how this all works, and we enrolled her. Once again, it says, nice lady, okay, nice person, who likely get us her creditors shortly, and she knows if she is sued, she will call us and provide us with the papers we need to send a letter to the attorney who sued her. And we'll explain to her why she won't need to go to court and why she's going to be fine. So she gets Social Security and a little pension, and she owes debt for a care facility that she can't pay for, and credit card debt, and she's probably being harassed. We can roll in helps. We're going to send letters to the creditors she owes money to. They're going to leave her alone, and she's going to be fine. And she can always call us with her questions, no matter how often. Okay? So this person contacted us. I guess it was just the husband. Says wife won't be involved, at least not at this time. That's pretty fairly common. Sometimes one spouse will call and they'll say it's all my debt, it's not my spouse's debt, and the other spouse doesn't need to be part of helps. Remember, your credit is held separately. You know, credit is not based on husband and wife together, it's on each one of you separately. Okay? So we read what we did, and the person enrolled. He's being sued by Discover for 18,000, and he has a court date tomorrow. It says he's going to go and try to stall it off if he can, because he would like to see if he can get a reverse mortgage. And we'll talk about that. Okay. He saw the interview with Ken Krajewski, who's a man that sometimes we refer cases to for reverse mortgages, and me. We gave him the phone number, and he's going to call him now. He has credit card and medical. I'll talk about reverse mortgages in a second here. He has credit card and medical debt primarily because he was, had an illness. They have a truck worth about $20,000, an old car, but they're not going to take those. We sent him some emails. One that we called, "Do I have to go to court? What happens when a helps client is sued?" And one about reverse mortgages. So let's talk about reverse mortgages just for a second. First, I want to be clear that I don't sell reverse mortgages. I really don't care if a person gets a reverse mortgage, but I do care to tell someone about a reverse mortgage when I think it could make sense. A lot of times I will talk to someone where a reverse mortgage could make a whole lot of sense. And I'll tell them that, and they might immediately say something like, "Well, I don't want that." And I'll ask them why, and they really can't give me a reason. They just heard something bad. So let me just talk about reverse mortgages for a minute here. So I won't take too much time, but if you've got a home that you owe very little on, or it's free and clear, and you're strapped with debt and you don't have a whole lot of income, or maybe you owe $20,000 on a home and you got a $1,000 payment and you only got $2,000 income, and that house payment is just dragging you down, but you have a lot of equity in the home. What a reverse mortgage would do is pay off your home, so you don't have a mortgage payment anymore. You still own the home and you can still sell it. The bank doesn't own it. You still have control of the home. If you have enough equity, you can draw maybe a line of credit that you can access to help supplement your income. But, if you got $2,000 in income and a $1,000 house payment, you no longer have to make that house payment. Now you got an extra $1,000 in your budget anymore. It's going to make all the difference in the world. Well, some clients will tell me, "Well, I don't want a reverse mortgage, Eric, because I want to leave something for my kids. I'm worried when I die, then there won't be enough equity for my children." Well, okay, I understand that, but you should also understand that half of seniors end up on Medicaid. Almost half end up on Medicaid. And so if you had a home that you had equity in, the home has to be sold before you can get on Medicaid, and the proceeds used to pay for your nursing care. And you may end up, having to sell that home, and you lived 15 years eating macaroni and cheese when you could have gotten a reverse mortgage and been a lot more comfortable. Okay? So there's a lot of reasons why a reverse mortgage can make sense. Some people say, "Well, my aunt had a reverse mortgage and they took her home." Well, the reason they took her home was because she didn't pay the property taxes. Sometimes a reverse mortgage can pay the property taxes for you. Sometimes you're required to pay it. And if you don't pay it, then yeah, they can foreclose on the home. That's the contract. They've tightened up reverse mortgage requirements now, and they're a little bit more difficult to get. But in the old days, they were easier to get, and sometimes they give them to people where they really couldn't afford to pay the property taxes. So they would get a reverse mortgage, they live in the home, and they would eventually stop paying the property taxes, and the reverse mortgage would have no choice but to foreclose on the home. They have to, otherwise the county will foreclose on the home if property taxes aren't paid. So, no, a reverse mortgage can be an answer. We have videos that talk about it. Okay? So, this person contacted us from Arizona. They have a home that's free and clear. It's worth about $450,000. Well, that's a lot of money, free and clear home. Every state has an amount of equity that's protected in bankruptcy or otherwise from a execution by a debt collector. Uh, Arizona, I think it just went up to like $417,000. It went up. It's over $400,000 now. Okay. Some states don't even protect no matter what your home is worth. Essentially, that's Florida and Texas. It just depends on the state. Okay. But even if you have a state that has a very small protection for equity in a home, it's not the practice of consumer judgment creditors like a credit card company that gets a judgment against you to ever go after to try to foreclose or take your home. There's a way it could be stopped. We don't even need to get into that. It just doesn't happen. So you're not going to lose your home. But anyway, this person from Arizona, they say they're dealing with a debt collector. They're wanting her to file a response to a summons. She just filed a motion to dismiss it due to them not filing mandatory arbitration. They responded back, and the response has nothing to do with the case we are talking about. She said they also lied because they said she did not file a response. Okay. She doesn't dispute that she owes the debt. She just disputes that she was not trying to make payments. Um, we sent her some emails about what helps does. The other creditors are trying to sue. So here's the debt. Here's the deal. If you get sued and you owe the money, I mean, you can contest the lawsuit. Most of our clients don't want to get involved with the court system, but if you get a kick at doing that, and you want to do that, you can do that. We don't help people do that. It's not what helps does. So, if they were to sue her and get a judgment, they couldn't touch her Social Security or pension. It's protected. They can't take her home. Okay. What about a lien on the home? Well, it's under state law. Some states won't allow a lien to be on a home. Other states will say if they get a judgment, it can become a lien. But if you sell the home, there's a process for getting the lien removed. In some states, you can get the lien removed pretty easily yourself. Some states, the only way you get the lien removed is by filing bankruptcy. In certain instances, like if you own a home as a husband and wife and the judgment is just against the husband, for example, and yeah, it could be a lien on the home, but if you're going to stay in the home and the husband dies before the wife, then the home transfers to the wife. The judgment is gone because the husband is deceased. There's no more lien on the home. So we talk to people about these things. I don't want you to worry. Someone just wrote in something. You should apply for Section 8. We tell a lot of clients about Section 8. That's a subsidized housing financed by the government. Will help supplement your rent payment. Essentially, you pay a quarter or a third of your income for rent. It's a godsend for many seniors and lower income people. Um, you know, if anything, it should be funded even more because a lot of people need help with rent. It's expensive. Sometimes I'll tell people will call in and we'll talk about Section 8, and I'll tell them, I said, at least sign up for it. You may not want it now, but, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, there's a waiting period. If they call you 2 or 3 years from now and offer it to you, you don't have to accept it, but you might be saying 2 or 3 years from now, you might be saying, man, I'm glad I took that guy's advice and signed for Section 8 because, wow, now I can really use it. Okay? And sometimes there's a opinion that they're bad apartments. Well, maybe in some inner cities and big cities they might be, but every place I've been, they're nice apartments. They have to have certain quality controls. Okay? So this person contacted us from Texas. The husband and wife both receive Social Security. They have approximately $37,000 in credit card debt and are currently up to date with payments, but they can't keep paying all of it off. Yeah, it's like they pay it all off, and they don't have any money left over. They rent and have three old vehicles that are paid in full. No one's going to take their cars. The wife was running errands when the husband called, so he'll talk to her about our services and call back. But he was very relieved to know that we can help him. I read the paragraphs and quoted the fees. I didn't get the street address there. Okay, and then they called back, ready to enroll. We reviewed the banking protections and how we send out those cease and desist letters out. We try to send them out within 24 to 48 hours. And they enrolled in helps. They give us the credit. They're going to have to pay the $37,000 credit card debt. I don't know what they're paying. Probably at least $500 or $600 a month. Can you imagine the change in their life now? They get Social Security. They're going to have an extra $500, $600, maybe even $700 a month. They don't have to pay that old credit card debt. It's going to change everything. They're going to have money for food, medicine, and heat, air conditioning in the summer, whatever. Like the old guy that told me years ago when helps was new, you mean, Eric, I can buy a present for my grandson? Yeah, you bet. You don't have to feel bad about it. You didn't do it intentionally. It's just life happened. These creditors charge high interest. They know that a certain percentage of people aren't going to pay the debt. That's one reason they charge the interest they do. So you don't need to feel guilty, okay? Yeah, I like that. My sister has a beautiful Section 8 apartment, complete with in-apartment washer, dryer, an upscale something like that, bathtub, I guess, or whatever. The place is nicer than my $300,000 condo. Well, I like to hear that. Yeah. So we're almost done for the day, but we have tomorrow to do too, Thursday. Okay, so this person contacted us from Virginia. Age is 79. 50,000 in credit card debts, and he gets Social Security and VA benefits. Being sued by a creditor with a court date of February 18th. Debt amount is $3,700, and they've offered to settle for $3,000. Three more collection agencies have contacted him asking for money. We emailed what we do. He's been watching a lot of our YouTube videos and read over what we've sent him. Went over what we do and what we do when our clients are sued. And it says here, this is a note from our paralegal. This client is ready to enroll. We read what we do, and he enrolled. Well, good. He's got 50,000. He's 79 and 50,000 in credit card debt, and he gets a little bit of Social Security and VA benefits. Think how that's going to change his life. Payment of 50,000 in credit card debt is probably $800 or $900 a month, I guess, at least. He can stop paying it, and he doesn't have to worry about the collectors harassing him. If he gets sued, he's going to get us a copy of the lawsuit. We're going to send a letter to the attorney who sued him, let him know that this guy's income is Social Security. It can't be taken from him. And we're going to call the client and let him know why he doesn't need to worry, why he doesn't need to go to court. That's what we do. That's what helps does. We protect seniors so they don't need to worry. Okay. You should know on Section 8, we got an email. You can apply for Section 8 anywhere in the country. Some places in the country, there's a longer waiting period than others. I imagine in San Diego, there might be a long wait. A place where it's warm, maybe, but other places in the country, there's a shorter waiting. And you can get up on the priority list, okay? You can move up on the priority list sometimes, okay, for different reasons. One of them, if you're a senior and you're elderly, okay, that'd be a reason for them to move you up. Okay, so I got 56 after the hour. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it quits today. I've enjoyed our talking to you. Uh, please press the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do that. You get down there, you click on the subscribe button. You can make a comment down below. Anything you do like that is going to help get to spread out the word more about helps. More people find out about helps from our YouTube videos than any other source. And I talk to so many seniors that are so glad to find us. They're thankful. Answer to prayer. So, for many of them. So, if you subscribe to our channel, if you press the like button, that all lets these little computer systems for YouTube and Google know that, if someone writes a question in about debt problems, they're going to send them to helps, send them to our webpage, or they're going to send them to these YouTube videos. So thanks for participating today, and I will talk to you tomorrow. God bless, and have a great day.